Hey guys, and welcome back to Schneid's 15. Today we're working on a Vtwin Briggs and Stratton. It's mounted in a Sawmill application here. It's a horizontal shaft motor, so it'll be the same in a lot of different machinery. But as long as it's a Vtwin Briggs, it should have the same carburetor setup. What's happening on this sawmill is that it's popping a little bit. It's running a little bit lean is what it is. We put some new spark plugs in it last year to help my dad get by. I didn't have any time, and now that I'm laid off from my job of being a boat mechanic, I got a bit of time, so we're going to pull this carburetor off, get it cleaned up, and see if we can get this thing running better. First off, we're going to pull off the intake. This is just our cover. Get that off to the side. Depending on what application you have, some of them are going to be different because some of them might not have this foam pre-filter if you're not around sawdust and stuff. Lots will. So set those off to the side, and then we're going to have to get underneath. So we're going to have to grab a 10mm socket, and we'll get to pulling off our air filter housing here. Those bolts are all the same length, so you don't have to worry about that. Set that off to the side. That's just the post just to hold your air filter in. And then those two are short, so you won't get them mixed up. You'll have your breather tube off of your valve cover on the one side here. You'll have to pull that off of the bottom, just like that, and you're done. Now we've got access to the carburetor. Okay. All right, so if you have a manual choke on yours like this, you're gonna have to take a 5/16 or an 8mm, and we're gonna pull off this linkage just to get this linkage out of the way. Pull off your fuel line here. You can either leave it on here, the fuel pump, whatever end comes off easy, whatever you prefer. I'll take it off here just so it's out of the way. Put that up, and then there's another linkage down here for your governor. You can't get to that right now, so we're gonna take these two 10mm bolts out right here, and there's also a 10mm bolt right here we'll pull out. Then our carburetor should lift up, and I'll show you how to get rid of this linkage right here. So once we pull this off, you got a nut, a washer, and then you got your wave washer there. I'm just gonna pull it like this, and then get our linkage out of here. And all just being me, I'm just gonna throw it in off to the side like this, and throw this stuff back on just so it doesn't get lost and I remember the order. That's just my way of doing things, guys. Now that that's out of the way, we'll pull off our fuel line here and our 3 bolts, and we'll be back with you. There's one more hidden in the middle here. Just give this a wiggle. Undo our wires here. There's a little detent you can press on, which I can't get to. There we go. And next we have our wire, or our linkage over here. Just flip this up here, and this will slide out of here. There we go. And then your spring is still going to be attached to there. You can just undo it and lay it down there. And our carburetor's free. We'll bring this thing inside to the bench and get cleaning it. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull off these intakes on each side, or what I'm going to call them is the intake. Each setup, depending on your model, is going to be different, I assume. I think I could possibly get these two mixed up just to avoid confusion. I'm just going to put a mark on each one of them so I can tell what goes where. Just a paint pen, and that'll dry up, and then I can't get it confused. So I'm pretty sure they've dummy-proofed this, but so you can't put these on backwards, but we're gonna mark them like I showed you guys. So pull these out. They're 2 8mm. Get those yanked out and off to the side. And then back to our 10s. These are just nuts. And the studs go through to the other side of the carburetor. I ripped that, but we'll just make a new gasket when we put this back together. Next, we're going to pull out our two screws for our float bowl. Unfortunately, mine are really seized in there and I can't get them out with a regular screwdriver. So I'm going to take this impact here, hand impact, and it's hard to kind of get on, so I'm using the flathead end. But if I give this a bit of a twist, whack with a hammer, we're free there. So pulling off our bowl, when you pull up the piece inside, just give it a bit of a wiggle. The float assembly is either going to stick in here, or it's going to stick on here. Pulls out of there, sits like that. So it's either going to be like that or stuck in there. So put that off to the side for now. And we'll pull out these two screws out of here. So with our carburetor now down right to bare bones, as we'll call it, there's still some gunk all over it. If this O-ring peels out easy, and this one here, if I can get it out easy, I'm going to put them to the side just so I don't get carburetor cleaner on them. Then I'm going to go over to the air compressor and get rid of all this sawdust, get everything blown out. Then we're going to start spraying stuff out with the carb cleaner. So I just finished cleaning the carburetor. Now I'm going to bring the intake pieces over and our float bowl. I tried to pull out this solenoid here, but I don't have a wrench skinny enough to get in there, funny enough. It's really odd, I guess, that I don't have one. Anyways, so we're going to leave that in, and we're going to just give this a light clean, pop out this O-ring here, set that to the side, and we'll get these cleaned up and blown out with air, and then we'll get to reassembly. So now before I put this together, I'm going to put a little bit of Permatex, the right stuff on here just to seal it up. I always use it. This is it here. Works really good. And then you can throw it back together right away. I just had to clear out my tube because the end dried, so I'm just going to pick it out of here with my rubber glove and just dab it on and just seal up the corner of that gasket. And then we'll slide our two pieces on, torque that up, then we'll assemble the rest of the carburetor. So of course my yellow lines have pretty well wore off. Anyways, that's all gasketed up there. You can kind of see where the yellow was there. Anyways, this one here is good. It can get thrown together. Oops. Like that, and then we'll bolt it up so that gasket maker can get setting up as I torque this car, or finish getting this carb back together. We're going to start off by putting our overflow. This is just a gasket just for our overflow, guys. It's really, I guess you wouldn't have to take it off, but just in case some crud got in there and is blocking that up, I always, take it off and clean it while you're in there. It's not an essential item to pull off, but we'll do that. Once we're done with this, we can flip her back over and get to reassembly on the other side, and then we'll get her on the machine. So first step, let's take all of our O-rings that we took off and put them back in the correct location. This one's pretty straightforward, just like that. Our bowl gasket. There we go. We got this wee little guy. Goes in that hole there where your float assembly kind of shoves into there. There we go. And this one actually, you know what? We'll put it in the other end and get it locked into place in there. Just like that. So we're ready to slide our float assembly into here. I'm just going to take a little bit of oil and put it on here. This is just penetrating oil. Just going to dribble it out onto this O-ring. Just like that. Just so when I slide this together, it won't bind in there. So I'll try and show you guys this way. I'm going to go like this, put it in horizontally because I don't want the gaskets to fall off. Slide that over, get that in the hole there. Just give it a little wiggly. Yep, you can feel it going down without interfering with that O-ring. Float works. Before we forget, take our O-ring we pulled out before, shove that down in there. That seals the top here. It'll sit right in here. And we're ready to put our float bowl back on. Okay, so this should fit fairly tight because your float bowl does hold that float assembly into place because it's all plastic. The O-ring on the end of it makes it fit snug tight. But just remember remember how much trouble I had pulling out these screws, that this is just two pieces of metal going together with an O-ring in the middle of it. So once it bottoms out, it's pretty well there. So you just need to give those just a nice snug just to help you the next time, or the next person the next time. And that's it. So we're ready to put this back on the machine. I'm kind of suspecting that this solenoid might be the issue, but I want to get the carb cleaning out of the way just in case. So that's done, because this can be changed on the machine and I don't have the wrench for it. So anyways, we'll get it bolted back up, and this is easy enough to change on the machine, this solenoid. But for now, let's take this out and get her bolted back up. So we'll connect our wiring first because it's down low. This thing can swivel. So just shove that in there good. Go around the side here. We're gonna spin up our clip that's on here. Slide out our governor spring and hook it onto this black lever here. Then swivel up that. Shove our linkage in. Kind of tricky if you don't have the carb on the right angle, so sorry about that. There we go. That's shoved in. That just clips back onto the rod there. We can set our carburetor into place there. Can grab our linkage and reattach it for the choke. I'm gonna bolt the carb into place actually first. I'll bolt that in and we'll be right back with you guys. Got our choke on. It's tightened up. Pay attention to that lever. I dropped it and was a little confused. Anyways, our clip broke, so I got just a zip tie I'm going to use on here. Give that a little tighten up with your side cutters. Go. Now that everything's good, before we put all the intake and stuff on, I'm gonna just crank over the motor for a bit and start up the engine, get fuel in. Remember that it's gonna take a bit because it has to fill up this whole float bowl. So we're gonna do that now. We're just going to take some of our right stuff and just put a light coat on here. The gasket's still stuck to the other side of the intake. So I'm just going to make up the thickness of what that gasket would be. It's not hugely important here. It's just basically to keep out dust. I mean, which, yes, is important. But what I'm trying to say is just don't layer on too thick. Right in the middle here, there's a little bit of the gasket left from down there. Anyways, it's good and sealed there, so we're going to throw our intake back on here, or our tray, whatever you want to call it. You just got to shove it through here, the rubber. And we got to be extra careful on lining this up right, because we got that gasket maker there. And put our two 8mm nuts in here. I guess these ones are 10mm, they're just the shorties. Shove them in there to align everything up. There we go. Okay. All right, so don't mess up like me. I forgot to put this breather tube on. Roll that in there. I thought I could get to it after. And then line up everything for the second time. Good. Put your nut or bolts on, and then we'll get to putting our intake on. Next, toss that air intake on. Good. Disc goes in next. Wing nut. It's real nice. Good time to replace the air filter. This one's new. Probably only has a couple hours of running on it. Clip your breather back on and you're done. Alright guys, thanks for watching how to clean a carburetor on a Briggs & Stratton Vtwin. This is a 23 horse VanGuard. Seems to run great now, and I hope this video helped. And if you're looking for any more tips on anything small engine, truck, vehicle related, anything mechanical, give the channel a subscribe and wait for some more videos.
As always guys, thanks for watching, and please give the channel a like and a subscribe. If my videos interest you, please click on my channel and check out my other videos.